mash up the place, turn up the bass and make them all have fun. And we ablaze the fire, make it fun them. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make some fun. Boy run, and we will end your week just like a fun.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael, aka Mike, and these are my tips and strategies to playing For Honor. Now, I'm going to go over 3 different types of matchups here in this episode, and the first type of matchup is where you and your team work together very well in Dominion to get the objective finished. You may have a little bit of trouble, but it's alright in the end, you do pretty well. Now, the second matchup we're going to do is where your teammates don't work together very well, but you still end up coming together for the win. And then there's the third matchup, which by far is definitely my favorite, and that's the matchup where you come together and completely and utterly obliterate your opponents and they had almost no chance. Now, how do I put this? The first thing you've got to work with when you're playing a team-based game, which for Honor, it's Elimination, Dominion, Skirmish, all of these different game modes that are multiplayer, you gotta group up. The first things first, you have to group up. If you play without being in a group, you're going to die very quickly. Because if you're against any team that has sense, the first thing they're gonna do is group up. Now that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, don't be afraid to call for help. If you're surrounded by 2 people and you're having a lot of trouble, call for help. Like, the worst thing your teammates are gonna do is spam I think the OK emote in the chat and then just ignore you, and you'll die, and it'll bite your team in the ass, but still you'll get your point across you actually needed help. And then my third tip I'd have to say is catch people when they're alone. If you see a group of multiple going against, let's say, 2 or 3 of your teammates, so it's the rest of your whole team against maybe 2 people in their team, you need to go find those 1 or 2 people that are straggling alone by themselves. And that right there, just cleaning up that extra, kind of like right here in this video actually, I had one Shinobi going against me while the whole rest of his team was trying to mess with the people at B. So I could sit here and single him out and then just take a step towards C. And I'd have to say that's really all I can say for playing team-based For Honor. So as of right now, I think I'm just gonna analyze how working as a team helps. So the best strategy I use is before the match even starts, I look to see what characters my team is running so I can see what character I need to use. Now, a lot of people don't think it matters, but you need to have a balanced team. Like, let's say you've got 3 assassins. To balance that, you should most likely choose a heavy character. Or let's say you've got a mix-up intensive, a heavy, and an assassin. So with that, you could really honestly choose any character you want because you've got all bases covered. Now, I'd have to say my favorite teams are the all heavies, just because they've got really meaty health bars. And I know that seems kind of noobish of me, but trust me, in For Honor, you're going to be getting double teamed and triple teamed constantly, so a good health bar is always a good thing. Now, when it comes to the class system, I would definitely recommend using a mix-up, like a hybrid, for your first character, just because a lot of them are ranked easy or medium, and I think there are 3 of them, I think, that are ranked hard as of this moment, like the Highlander and Lawbringer and stuff like that. And so yeah, I would just prefer using a light or medium character just to get used to the game. And then once you get used to being able to parry and guard break and all that, I would move on to maybe a heavy or just one of the Vanguard characters, the easies. Because, believe it or not, it helps a lot more to start the game while working with a hard character. If you start the game working with a hard character, you'll be a lot more prepared to work with the easy characters later in the game. But, so, maybe I'd have to say one character you definitely don't want to start with, just in general, is the Shigoki. Now, that may sound weird, you're like, Shigoki, what the hell is that? it's this really fat samurai guy that has a lot of really powerful moves, but he's like the slowest character in the game, other than the new Highlander DLC. He's awesome. Gotta try him. But he is the slowest character in the game, but he is also the strongest. He doesn't have the most health. Wow, thank you. He doesn't have the most health, but he has the second most health. I believe the Lawbringer actually has a little bit more health than him. So, yeah, when it comes to playing a team-based game, just try to balance out your team. If you see people running multiple of the same thing, try to mix it up. It never fails to use a new character. And that actually brings me to my next point. If you're not comfortable using a new character, they have a practice menu in the main menu to where you can go and practice with the characters against a bot that doesn't do anything. So you can just, it'll sit there and soak up your hits and regenerate, and you can sit there and practice and practice and practice. And I personally do that with every character I play. I go in and practice for a few minutes before I jump into a live game. But there have also been times where I've gone from straight up practicing into a match and made it out like I've been playing with that character for a long time. But it's really just because once you get down the timing of people's attacks and how to parry and when to block, it's really helpful. And that brings me to the last class I'd say to use. I'd say save the assassins for once you're really comfortable, because the assassins, they can't block very well at all. You struggle a lot to block. You have to time everything correctly, and if you try to block too soon, your guard, which are the 3 lines, the left, right, and top lines on the shield in the middle of your body, they will go away very quickly with an assassin character because they're actually not built to block. So it's very reaction time. Everything with the assassin characters are reaction time. A lot of them are built more towards dodging and deflecting, and all a deflect is when you swing a heavy in the same direction as another character swings a heavy. Or you could do it when they swing a light, but it's a lot easier to do it towards a heavy. I would say I wouldn't recommend deflecting a light, but you know, some characters have really slow light attacks, so you can deflect those very easily. But assassins are characters that, the way I would put it is they're built no health, mediocre damage, and no defense. Almost no defense at all. So if you can actually play with an assassin character and defend yourself and stay alive through multiple opponents, a lot of people will call you a spammer and maybe say that you're cheating, but honestly, it's probably the most satisfactory feeling you could ever have. Just because you know that you have no health bar, you know, not as much damage as other characters, and then, you know, you have no defense. So the fact that you were able to defend yourself and completely kill them with one of the weaker characters in the game is actually very satisfying. So again, when it comes to team-based games, as you can see right there, I was getting double teamed, and the first thing I called for, I tried to call for help, but I died before I could, so it really just spammed the revive. And the one thing you need to do, it's something people never seem to understand, is you have to run in a group. Once you're good and you get comfortable running in a group, that's when you guys can semi-branch off. Like 2 stay in one group, 2 stay in another, maybe 3 in one, and one guy branches off to take care of a straggler. Kind of like right here, this guy stayed by himself while me and another teammate kind of ran up on him. So I distracted him when my teammate knocked him off the map. It was a really good team effort, and that's the type of things you need to do when it comes to a team mode. Now, I'd say the only team mode to where that wouldn't really work, is the Brawl, and that's just because it's kind of like a duel, but with that duel, it's 2 separate duels going on at once. So let's say you killed the guy you're up against, and then your teammate's fighting the other guy. The only time you should jump in is if they pop their revenge. Other than that, teaming up on people is completely okay in any other game mode. It is free game, open game, man. But if you do it in a brawl, you're kind of an asshole. Unless they pop their revenge, then you go on them. Because revenge, all it does is it makes it to where they have infinite stamina and they're unblockable. Or they're not unblockable, but they can't be interrupted during their moves, and they have infinite stamina. So the one thing you need to watch out for are people popping revenge in modes like that. And Brawl is a team-based mode, but it's not as much of a team-based mode as, say, Dominion or, you know, Skirmish, stuff like that. And so that really just brings it down to my last thing. Try as hard as you can to get your teammates to group up. You can see I'm spamming group up in the chat just because my team is struggling really hard right now. And it helps a lot more if you have a mic, and usually I do play with a mic, because if you have a mic and you're telling your teammates, hey, there's 2 in C or 1 in A, there's a guy in B trying to capture that, your teammates will go to those objectives and try to clear them out. And it's really helpful. So I would definitely recommend using a mic on any platform, Xbox, PC, PlayStation. I would definitely recommend using a mic. So, yeah. That's really all I can say about that. Just try to group up and know what character is best for your style, you know? And, don't be afraid to call for help. If you need to be revived, spam that revive emote. Someone will try eventually. If you're getting grouped up on, spam the help and just defend your balls off. And it's definitely going to be hard with certain characters, so make sure you're very comfortable with the character you play with, and that, like I said, that's where practicing with the level 0 bot comes in. But, guys, this is the game actually where we struggled really hard for most of the game, but we came back with a clutch victory. I actually, it was down to me and another guy, and both of us were one hit from dying, and somehow in the middle of his move, I hit him. So, I'm gonna let you finish out this clip, and I will meet you at the 3rd clip to where we completely and utterly annihilate them. So guys, I will see.
You lost Zone A. You captured Zone A. You lost Zone A. You captured Zone A. You lost Zone C. Breaking. You captured Zone C. Breaking. You lost. Enemy rally. Archers, fire!
Potreste fortuna giuva! Victory!
Alright guys, so this is the clip. And now trust me, they don't stay bots the whole game. I'm not gonna sit there and show you a clip to where I'm completely and utterly raping bots, you know, that's just not cool. So with matches like these are the types of matches that I love. And keep in mind, every single type of match that I'm showing you right now can be done in the opposite order. You can have a teammate completely and utterly annihilate you. You can have a team that does that. So it's really based on luck, on how well your team is willing to work together. But when the tips I gave you do turn out in your favor, the matches will turn out a lot like this one. Your team is running in a really nice group, and if anyone runs in like this straggler right here, they're gonna get teamed up on very quickly. And I think I actually went 12-0 in this matchup, but a lot of the times I just got really lucky, like getting the spamming heavy kills. So I can't say I'm exactly proud of this match, but it's one I had to use for example because I had the recording and I thought it was pretty cool. But so yeah, I mean, the team's running together really well. We're working on objectives together, and not many of us are branching off at all for anything. And when we do branch off, it's really just to take care of a straggler. And these are the types of matches you want to be in. You want your team to be as even with the other team as possible. And if they're not running in a group, your team's definitely going to be dominant. And these are definitely the type of matches that I would prefer over anything. Now, you could flip that and say that I hate matches like that because it feels like I'm beating up on the other team. Well, at the same time, if their team had any sense of what they were doing, they would definitely be grouping up against you. Wow, I'm saying definitely a lot. So, yeah, just right now, my whole team is gathered up on C, taking C, so I'm going to run to their spawn and see if I can catch someone just in. And look at that, caught a Centurion right out of his spawn. So we're gonna go back and forth for a minute. I got really lucky right there with the deflect, and then yeah, like I said, I go 12-0, so I do end up killing this guy. But like I did also say, it was a lot of luck and spamming that got me to that point. But guys, that's really all I've got for this episode. Just stay together with your team. You know, make sure to put stuff in the chat. Don't be afraid to call for help. Watch for your characters. I know it's a lot of repetitiveness, but when it comes to games like this, you kind of have to be repetitive to get better. And, yeah, guys, I really do appreciate all of you that came to watch this video. It took a bit of time to make just to gather all the clips, and, yeah, it's really nice to know that my work's actually being appreciated. So I do really enjoy the fact that you guys watch these videos, and thank you But with all that said, I'm gonna say like I always do, guys. Peace.
You lost Zone A. To the gas! Lost Zone C. You captured Zone A. You captured Zone C. Enemy team is breaking. Aglu!